The Bible doesn't say that being LGBTQ is a sin, but you don't want to listen to a 10-minute video. Let me give you the overview quick. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm a deep skeptic, also a pastor. Genesis chapter 2, a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife in marriage. This does not talk about being queer. It talks about marriage between a man and a woman. So to say it does is arguing from silence, which doesn't work. Genesis chapter 19, the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, is actually not about homosexuality. It's about violence if you read it. And in Ezekiel chapter 16, the Bible itself says it's about hospitality. Then you have Leviticus 18 and 20. The word for sex there is not just any kind of sex, it's a specific kind of uncommitted sex. And the bigger issue there is the cultural view on sex and relationships, which we'll get to later. There's nothing else in the Old Testament. So that's the third book of the Old Testament. There's nothing else until the fourth book of the New Testament, the book of Romans. So there is nothing from Jesus, nothing. The next one, as I mentioned, is in Romans chapter 1. It says that people give up their natural relations for unnatural ones, and queer people will tell you that their natural inclination is towards whatever their identity is, and that means that giving up their natural identity for being straight would be the problem. The next one is in 1 Corinthians chapter 6. It's a very rare word named malakoi. It's hard to translate, but basically its most likely translation is something like sex addict. So not LGBTQ. Also in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and 1 Timothy chapter 1, there's another word, arsenokoitai, that is also very difficult to translate and could be referring to a practice called pederasty, which is not okay, but also not part of the queer community. If you ever wanted to deep dive into how that got into the Bible and wrongly translated, there's a really brilliant movie called 1946, the movie. It's fantastic, you should watch it. Honorable mention is Jude 6 and 7. It is also not talking about intimacy in the way we understand it. It's talking about intimate violence. The bigger issue in all of these, as I mentioned before, is the way that the cultures in the Bible viewed sex. And in the words of our prolific patron saint, Dan McClellan, it is what a active sexual agent did to a passive sexual object. There was no mutuality. And the problem is that you can't take the cultural values of a culture that existed thousands of years ago and map them one for one onto modern culture. And if you like help in how to talk to your evangelical or non-affirming friends and family members about this, I've got a course coming up. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about having relationships and helping them grow. You can find that on Eventbrite or, the place where you find outbound links here in different social media platforms. Whew, that was quick. If you want a longer version, I've got that pinned.